Hello guys, and welcome back once again to my Planetside 2 Basics video series, where I try and cover the main elements of the game so you guys can just jump straight in. Now it's been probably a week, almost 2 weeks now since the last video, which is a little bit longer than I would have liked, but it's been pretty busy the last couple of weeks. I had to spend a lot of time finishing up my Battlefield, only in Battlefield video entry, which didn't get to the top 10, but that's not really that surprising. There were some really good videos in there. And also Armored Kill got released last week, so I've been spending a lot of time playing that and doing some videos on that. But I'm back now with the next in the series, which probably will be the last one, I think, and that is vehicles. Now, if you haven't seen the previous videos in the series, then just check the description below, and I'll put all the links down there for you. So let's get started. As I said, in this episode we're covering vehicles, so let's jump straight into game and go over them. Now, here on the vehicles page you can see there are 7 vehicles listed in all, but not all of these are faction specific. For instance, the Flash, the Sundra, the Galaxy and the Liberator, and also the Lightning are the same in each faction. They're generic for each faction, whereas each faction has a specific fighter jet and battle tanks. Here, for instance, the fighter jet for the Terran Republic is the Mosquito. But it's different for Vanu Sovereignty. In the Vanu Sovereignty it's called the Scythe, and for the New Conglomerate it's the Reaver. That also applies for battle tanks as well. Here in Terran it's called the Prowler, but it's called the Mag Rider in the Vanu, and it's the Vanguard of the New Conglomerate. Now, apart from the difference in each of these vehicles, the other vehicles are common in all the factions. Now, the Prowler, for instance, and the Mosquito, these will act differently than the equivalents in the New Conglomerate and the Vanu. Not by a great deal, but there is some differences in them, whereas obviously all the others are generic across the all factions. It is just worth mentioning at this point that the game is still in beta, so some of these vehicles may change. Their armor may change, their weapons may change, etc. as they tweak it and whatnot. So not everything might stay the same. I can't see any vehicles getting removed or added or anything like that at this stage, but something could change between what I'm going to go over now when the game is finally launched. So let's go through each vehicle then, shall we? So let's start with the Flash. Now, this is essentially a quick form of transport, maybe used for flanking, getting somewhere really fast. As I'm aware, this is the fastest vehicle, or ground vehicle, in Planetside 2. It's made for speed, it's not very tough. As you can imagine, it makes up for that in its agility and mobility. It does have the option for some front-mounted machine guns, which you can unlock. So if you wanted to do that, you can do that to give it a bit more punch. But obviously, this is really just a traveling vehicle just to get round and flank and get somewhere really fast. Now, as with all the vehicles, you have got certifications for all of them. So for the Flash, not all of them are unlocked yet. Obviously, this is still early beta, but you can unlock weapon systems for it, and that's the same for all the vehicles. You can modify them via certifications. Now, it is just worth noting that unlike maybe on other games, let's use this as an example, Battlefield 3, Armored Kill's recently been released and they've added in quad bikes. They allow 2 people on it. This Flash does not. It's a single person quad, so you're only one soldier who's purchased it is going to be getting on this quad. So let's move on to the Sundra, this behemoth of a vehicle. It's a huge APC type vehicle. It can carry 12 soldiers at a time. It's heavily armoured, and it's pretty much designed to be a push-in vehicle, really, on the front lines. Carrying infantry straight into the battle, supported by tanks, so that infantry have got a bit of cover going straight out to the battle. Now, on top of that, though, this has got a really cool benefit. Soldiers can actually go back to this vehicle to replenish ammo and health, and I believe it's also got repairing abilities for other vehicles as well. So it's really an essential tool, having one of these on the front of the battlefield with the benefits that it actually gives. As you can see, it's got some pretty mean tyres as well, so really high clearance, so it can get some places where some of the other vehicles might not be able to. but obviously due to its high size, its big size, you know, it is quite slow. It does have, I'll be able to see here, 2 mounted guns at the top there. So it's got 2 50mm cannons, or machine guns I should say, as its defensive weapons. And you could be able to change the, you know, the loadouts on that as well. And going into your certifications, you can add like, for instance, a mortar, you know, to beef it up a little bit basically. So moving on, we've got the Lightning now. This is the lighter of the tanks that is generic to all the factions. It's fast and it's maneuverable basically. Its main weapon is a 75mm cannon on the top, but because of its speed and its maneuverability, it's pretty weak in terms of armor, and it's pretty easily taken out really. It's a support tank more than anything. You know, it's more of a fast attack sort of tank to get to the battle really quickly. You know, it's best supporting heavy tanks rather than being the, you know, the front of the attack, because it just doesn't have the armor to take a hit really. Again, you can unlock added weapons for it as well. You just gotta you know, take your time with it and unlock some certifications for it. So moving on, let's move on to the Prowler. Now this one here is the faction specific tank. This is for the Terran Republic. Now it's Terran Republic's main battle tank. From what I understand, it is the fastest of the 3 factions as well. And its main cannon, which you can see here is a double cannon, is the fastest firing of all 3 as well. So it makes it pretty much one of the strongest battle tanks of the 3 factions. It is a 2-seated tank. Its main weapon, as I said here, is the twin 120mm cannon, and it's also got a machine gun here as well for the gunner's seat. Now the other factions, their vehicles aren't really going to vary that much. Their battle tanks, you know, are going to be slightly different, but they're going to be pretty much the same. I believe, and I could be wrong with this, the Vanguard, which belongs to the New Conglomerate, also has the best armor of all the 3. Now they're going to be pretty much identical, unless of course you count the fact that the Vanu Sovereignty's tank is a hover tank. Other than that, they're all pretty much the same. Okay, so moving on to the fighter jets. This is the Terran Republic's fighter jet called the Mosquito. It's the fastest of all the 3, but it's not the most agile. That award goes to the Scythe of the Vanu. Now it's got a 14mm cannon as its main weapon, and it can also be equipped with air-to-air missiles and Hellfire rockets as a secondary. Obviously I don't have any here right now. You can add utilities here, as you can see, so you can add an afterburner, and these all come from just playing with the vehicle and unlocking certs for it. Now, as with the other 3, it can pretty much be equipped for any role. It depends really what you're going to be doing with it as to what weapons you're going to attach. You know, whether you're going to be doing air-to-air and you're going to be taking out other air vehicles, or whether you're going to be doing air-to-ground and you want to be using this to take out tanks and vehicles on the ground. That really is up to you, but if you're going to be taking down, you know, air-to-ground and taking down vehicles on the ground, then you are going to be a bit vulnerable to other jets that are trying to take you down in the air. So that's just the balance you've got to find, really. Now, the New Conglomerate's jet in the form of the Reaver is much the same, but the Vanu's Scythe is slightly different, not just in its looks. The Scythe has the fastest lateral movement of all the 3, and it's also able to change altitude faster than the other jets as well. So there is slight differences in those 3, and it's worth just bearing those in mind. Now let's move on to the Liberator. This is the same for all 3 factions. It's the attack gunship of sorts, and it's, as I say, it's the same for all 3. It can hold 3 soldiers, one of them being the pilot, the second one being the gunner, and the third one controls the rear gun action on the back. It's a really powerful gunship, this, to be fair. You know, having three people, you can pretty much cover all angles. You see, by having the gunner on the front, you've got a rear gunner as well. You've got all the angles covered. Now, the person on this ship, though, that has the powerful weapons isn't the pilot at all. It's the gunner. The gunner has access to a huge cannon, but not only that, he can also equip bombs that he can drop as well. Again, that's got to be unlocked. I don't have them, but that's something that makes the gunner seat on this vehicle a really, really powerful tool, especially for, you know, air to ground. The pilot himself just has access to a cannon, a machine gun rather, to engage enemy targets as well. Now, moving on, last but not least, we have probably one of the most important vehicles right now in Planetside, and that's the Galaxy. Now, while I'm explaining why this is important, it's worth saying, and I'm going to explain why it's important, but its role has or will be changing quite drastically. It was announced by the devs that they're going to be changing the role for this quite considerably. If I explain to you what it is, it's basically a huge transport vehicle. It can hold up to 12 soldiers at a time, and it's very much the equivalent, the air equivalent of the Sundra. Now, you transport soldiers to the battle, but not only that, you then land the Galaxy, and you can then deploy it as like a forward base. So essentially, it turns into a mobile spawn point. Soldiers can just directly spawn on it and go straight into battle. Not only that, they can replenish ammo, health, and when it's deployed in this mode, it gains extra armor. So soldiers can spawn on it and basically bypass that entire action on the ground. Not only that, but it's got 4 cannons to defend itself when it's in that mode as well. So, you know, it's slow flying, but when you get it to a spot, it can really be used to bypass all the trouble on the ground and just be, you know, parked up somewhere behind a base, and your entire team can spawn on it. It's not just your squad, your entire team can spawn on this Galaxy then, and, you know, attack a base. So it makes it really, really powerful. Now, that's how the Galaxy operates right now, or used to operate. Now, I'm not sure if this change has been implemented yet, but if it hasn't, it will be very, very shortly. Basically, the Galaxy, the devs felt the Galaxy was a bit too awesome, and they found by having this capability, as I said, it was just basically being used as a forward base, and the players are pretty much bypassing all the action on the ground. So this functionality for the Galaxy is going to be removed, and the Sunderer, which we were talking about earlier, is going to basically have the capability that the Galaxy now has. Making sure that it's still going to have the power of the Galaxy, but you're going to have to go through the battle to be able to utilize it. The Galaxy will still have some form of spawning on it, but it's not going to be as it is right now. So that's going to be a huge, huge change, because right now the Galaxy is one of the main tools, you know, in winning battles. So it's going to be really useful or interesting to see how that pans out. So that's pretty much it, really, for the vehicles and how they operate in the game. Now, of course, it would be helpful, though, to actually show you how you get these vehicles. So I'm just going to jump into game quickly, and I'm just going to show you exactly how you go about getting these vehicles, because it's all well and good knowing what they are, but how do you actually get them? So I'm just in a base here. I'm just going to run up to my main area, and you will see here, for instance, there is a control point there, and it's got a plane right above it. Hopefully you can see that. And right ahead of me, I've got a tank version as well. Now, not all bases have all vehicle types. Depends whether they've got a helipad or not. For instance, the bigger ones will tend to have the Galaxy drop sections. So I can go up to this vehicle here, and it'll give me the option to have a Galaxy. So I can spawn that in right now if I wanted to. Or I could head over to the tank version, or the vehicle version, and I can get a Flash, a Sunderer, a Lightning, or a Prowler as well. So that's basically how you go about getting vehicles straight into the battle. I can show you exactly how I'd go about doing it. I order a Galaxy straight away. It's going to load me in, and there we go. I'm in. And that's it. Now, that's pretty much the basics of Planetside 2 covered for now. If there's any major changes during the beta, I'll be sure to update these videos as I get absolutely blatted by something, not quite sure what. And I'll be bringing much more Planetside 2 gameplay footage over the coming weeks, so stay tuned. And I hope this has helped in some shape or form. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.